Good morning. We're gonna wait just a minute or two in case anybody else hops on. I am switching gears on you a little bit today. I know the schedule says slow flow yoga. We're gonna do more of a restorative today. I think this has been a particularly challenging and long week for a lot of us, so it's just what my body is asking for today, so that's what we're rolling with. Props, you just grab anything you need to get as comfortable as possible. I would recommend having like a small pillow or a rolled up towel that you can place under your head at various points, or under your knees if you need the padding. I just have a long blanket folded out on top of my mat for a little bit of cushion because we're going to be spending most of our time on the floor today. So whatever you need to be just as comfortable in that position, or if you'd like a blanket to put over you when we're in Shavasana at the end, that's just fine too. Hi, those of you that are hopping on. We're going to get started in just a moment here. I'll just repeat, if you need any props to get really comfortable, a small rolled up towel or a small pillow is a good thing to have handy. And then a blanket if you think you're going to get cold. We're going to be spending a lot of time on the floor today, and we'll be spending about 5 minutes in each posture that we move into. This is going to be more of a restorative class today. All right, so let's go ahead and get rolling here. So we're going to start our practice in a child's pose today. And know that as we move along through our practice too, if anything doesn't feel comfortable in your body, it's perfectly okay to modify or take any other posture that you want instead. I'm just here to offer you suggestions. So that being said, skip anything that you like, do what feels right in your body today. And try not to get frustrated with yourself if it doesn't feel quite right to you today. It's a practice, it's not perfect. So child's pose to start. So you're going to start on hands and knees. Bring your knees all the way together and bring your big toes to touch. Let your arms extend out in front of you as you send your hips back to your heels. Let your forehead rest all the way on the mat. Good. And you can apply some light pressure here in your palms just to shift your hips a little bit farther back until they relax. But we want this to be as restorative and relaxing of a posture as possible. So no excessive effort on anything today. So just resting here, settling in, grounding into the earth. Arms can stay extended over you, or you can even let your arms travel down and rest beside your body on the floor. Just starting to tune your awareness into the space around you. Just welcoming yourself onto your mat. And showing yourself some love and gratitude for showing up and committing to this practice for the next hour. Coming into the awareness of your body in relation to the space around you. Just noticing the ambient noise in the room, the ambient temperature of the room. Noticing the weight of your body resting on the mat. Start to turn your focus inward. Just taking notice of your breath here. Where are you feeling the breath more in your body? Are you noticing the stomach expanding against the legs more? Maybe you're feeling the breath expanding through the back side of the body more. Start to slow down your breath. Letting the breath expand out in all directions so it's a 360-degree feeling. Letting your hips soften and sink towards your heels with each exhale. Now start to take notice of where the breath is landing in the back body. Focusing first on the lower back, the point closest to the tailbone. Can you breathe into that area and expand it just a little bit more? Letting that breath expand up into the ribcage. Feeling the expansion of your belly against your legs and your back puffing up toward the ceiling. Softening and relaxing on your exhale. Now following the breath in from the tailbone, through the ribs, all the way up to the upper back and chest this time. And follow that breath back down and out, pressing all of the air out of your belly. Continue following that breath up and down the body like a wave. Stay with this posture, stay with this breath for a few more moments. From this position, walk both of your hands over to the right side of the mat. Maybe even crossing your left hand over your right, just stacking it on top. And lightly pressing down into the hand, sending your hips back towards your left heel. Feeling that stretch through the left side of your body. 2 more breaths here. On your next inhale, walk your hands over to the left side of the mat. This time stacking your right hand on top of the left, if you did on the other side. Using your exhale to press your hips back toward your right heel this time. One more breath here. On your inhale, walk your hands back through center, separating your hands now to about shoulder width distance apart. And from here, keep your big toes together. Just walk your knees out toward the outside edges of your mat. And then return your hips back to your heels. See if you can sink a little bit deeper into the hips here. On your next inhale, and with as little effort as possible, begin to crawl forward. We're going to start to set up in a tabletop position. Walking your knees in so they're stacked just below the hips. From here, pressing up through the hands, bringing your arms straight. Walking your wrists directly below the shoulders. Spreading the fingers nice and wide and gripping the mat with those 3 middle fingers. If this feels rough on your wrists at all, you can elevate your wrists by taking your rolled up towel and just placing it under the base of the palms to lift the palms up a little bit. And toes can be tucked under here if you'd like to stretch out the arches of your feet a little bit, or the tops of the feet can be flat on the mat. From here, we're just going to take a little bit of movement with our breath, moving through some cat-cows. So on your inhale, drop your belly toward the mat, tailbone, chest, and gaze come up toward the ceiling, extending through the crown of your head. Exhale, tuck your chin to your chest, press through the hands and round your spine up. Inhale to drop the belly, full breath in, tailbone, chest, and gaze come up. Exhale to press through the hands and round. Good. We're going to keep moving back and forth with our breath for a few minutes here. Feel free at any point to invite in any kind of organic movement that feels good to you. Maybe taking some hip circles to either side. Or you can shift from cow through cat and back to a child's pose if you'd like to. Anything that feels right in your body today. Just give your body what it's asking for. Taking 2 or 3 more rounds of cat-cow, moving with your breath. Good, and then just coming back to a neutral spine, setting back up in your tabletop position. From here, we're going to ground our left hand down into the mat. On an inhale, sweep your right arm up to the ceiling. As you exhale, come down, thread it below your left arm, and lower your shoulder all the way to the mat here. Hips stay stacked above the knees. Right hand, top of the hand is just lightly resting on the floor. Your left hand can stay beside your face here. If you'd like to add on to this posture, you can walk this arm out overhead. Just know that we're going to stay here for a few minutes, so make sure you're really comfortable in this posture, whichever variation you're taking. Two more breaths here. With as little effort as possible, walk that left hand back beside your face. On an inhale, we're just going to press through that hand and slide ourselves back up to a tabletop position. Switching arms this time, we're going to inhale the left arm up to the sky. Exhale it down, thread it through, lower, and hold. Taking whichever variations here you did on the opposite side. on your next breath, and with as little effort as possible, walk your right hand back beside your face. And then on your next inhale, press yourself back up to that tabletop position. Good. And maybe just take a couple more cat-cows here. Really gentle movement, no excessive effort. Good. Walk your hands back to meet your knees. You can stay facing the short edge of your mat. I'm going to turn just so you can see me a little bit better. We're going to be in a kneeling seated position. If this is physically uncomfortable for your knees, feel free to sit cross-legged instead. That's perfectly fine. If you'd like a little bit of support in the kneeling position, you can take your little towel if you have one and just tuck it between your calves and your thighs. It'll give you a little bit of cushion to sit on, or even between your heels and your hips if you're using a thicker towel. From here, take a couple gentle shoulder rolls, inhaling up and back. Exhaling down, allowing the eyes to soften or close, staying focused inward throughout this practice. Keeping the shoulders stacked over the hips, lightly reaching up through the crown of your head, extending the spine nice and tall. Chin slightly tucks back toward the neck. From here, we're going to take some gentle twists to either side, and we'll hold for a few moments on each side. Again, feel free to modify if this is uncomfortable for you, or change your seat position if you don't think you'll be comfortable where you are for the next few moments. So we're just gently going to bring opposite hand to opposite knee in front. Other hand can stay just resting on the side of the thigh here, or if you can reach the floor with those fingertips, you can just tent them there for a little bit of support. Good. Just lightly twisting from the belly button, keeping the spine nice and tall. It's about 3/4 of a twist to the right. Or 1/4 of the twist. 3/4 would be crazy. Good. Settle into this posture. Just notice where your breath is in this posture. Coming back to your breath if you notice yourself getting distracted throughout your practice. noticing where you feel any expansion or relaxation in the body as we hold these postures for longer periods today. On your next inhale, with as little effort as possible, just gradually make your way back through center. Take a moment here to reset the spine, maybe shrug the shoulders a couple of times, stacking the shoulders over your hips, reaching up through the crown of your head. Finding your breath here for a breath or two. Good, and then we're going to change sides here. So opposite hand to the outside of the opposite leg. Other hand rests on the thigh, or the fingertips come down to the floor if you can reach comfortably. Stay nice and tall through the spine, a quarter twist to the left. Can you let your breath guide you just a little bit deeper into this posture without muscling your way through it? In addition to improving spinal health and decompressing the spine, these light twists are also known for improving digestion and relieving mild symptoms of depression and anxiety. Don't let that tempt you to push yourself into a deeper twist here, just let it come naturally. On your next inhale, with as little effort as possible, gradually guide yourself back to center. Again, take a second to reset your spine here. You can shrug your shoulders a couple times in either direction. And take a second to set your shoulders up over your hips, reaching up through the crown of the head. Find your breath here again. gradually place your hands on the floor in front of you and just walk your hands forward to your back in a tabletop position momentarily. If you have a taller prop between your legs and butt, just slide that out and off to the side for now. And very gently, you're going to sit your hips off to one side and then swing your legs around to the front, extending them all the way out in front of you toward the short edge of your mat. You're going to want to sit up nice and tall here, so if you need to pull the flesh away from your butt just to anchor your tailbone to the floor a little bit more, that's perfectly fine. We're going to move into a forward fold. If you know you have tight hips, you can use this little prop again here and tuck it under your butt just to elevate your hips slightly. It'll allow you to get a little bit deeper into this fold without excessive effort. So elevating the hips slightly can help a little bit here. Again, find that nice tall seat first. Letting the legs relax, you can bounce them out on the mat a couple times if you need to. Good. From here, take a big breath in. And as you exhale, start to slide the hands forward, down the legs, to wherever you land naturally. So don't excessively pull yourself down here because we're going to stay in this position for a few minutes. So just want to let gravity do the work here. Let your breath relax the muscles, protecting your spine and your lower back here. They'll soften eventually. You'll grow a little bit closer to the shins as we move on. It's okay to round your spine here if that feels good to you. Letting each exhale relax you a little bit more. Just letting gravity pull your chest a little bit closer to your legs. with as little effort as possible. Walking your hands back up the legs. Re-straightening your spine. If you have a prop tucked under your hips, just slide off to the side. You can stay facing the direction you are. I'm just going to face forward so you can see me better here. I'm going to give you a couple different options for the next posture. So you can either butterfly the legs and connect the soles of the feet, just letting the knees drop out to the sides. From here, if you'd like to interlace the hands and wrap them around the base of your feet for a little support and to help deepen the posture, you're welcome to. To add on from this position, you can allow this to move into a forward fold, just gently letting your chest gravitate toward the floor. Don't crank yourself down with your hands. Letting your breath dictate any relaxation or movement here. If you'd like to stay in this butterfly position, you're welcome to. If you'd like to add on from here, we're going to take the left leg, reach below your right and pull this heel around so that your knee is centered in front of you. We're going to take the right leg and cross it over, and we're stacking knees on top of knees here. Feet can be out to the side, as close as you can get them to your hips comfortably and without excessive effort is fine. Mine don't go that far, so you can see they're out to the side, and that's just fine. So from here, sitting up nice and tall, you can tense your fingers on the floor slightly behind you for a little bit of support. And try to keep your weight evenly balanced between the two sides of the hips. Growing tall through the crown of the head. Letting each breath help to relax the muscles of the thighs and the glutes. If you're in butterfly, stay just as you are. If you're in modified cow face with me, we're going to switch out the legs, so just gently, gradually uncross. Your right leg is going to come underneath this time, left leg is going to cross over. Stacking the knees, Just getting your legs in as comfortable of a position here as you can while keeping your hips planted on the ground. In this posture, feeling the hips start to soften and let go. With as little effort as possible, we're going to uncross the legs and then rejoin our friends in butterfly for a few breaths here. If you're in a slight forward fold here, starting to let the feet separate and the knees come up. We're going to move and set up for our pigeon pose. If you know that this feels uncomfortable to you in the standard position, you can take it on your back, which I'll guide you through in just a moment here. Otherwise, if you want to move into pigeon with the rest of us, then set yourself up, bringing your right leg shin parallel to the short edge of your mat. Ideally knee bent at about 90 degrees, but it's okay if this heel needs to be a little bit closer to your body. Either way, keep the right foot flexed to help protect your knee joint on the right side. From here, hands are going to come in front of you, squarely a little wider than shoulder width distance. Gently lift your hips up. Slide that left leg back until it's straight on the mat, top of the foot resting on the mat. We're going to stay tall here for a few breaths. If you want a little bit of support under your right hip, you can take that rolled up towel, fold it up so it's nice and thick, and then sandwich it kind of between your hip and the floor. It can help encourage a little bit more release through the glute and the hip on that side. Good. Take a few breaths from this tall position. Extending the spine. Feeling into that right hip, that right glute. As you feel ready, begin to use your exhales to walk your hands down, coming down onto your forearms first. If you'd like to cross your hands and just lightly rest your forehead on top of your hands, you're welcome to. If it's more comfortable to extend your arms and rest your forehead on the mat, that's perfectly fine. If you'd like to move into reclined pigeon on your back, I'll demonstrate that quickly so you can see what that looks like. So no props necessary for this one. You're going to lay all the way down on your back with your heels close to your hips. Your right leg is going to cross over your left, right ankle crosses over the left thigh. And then from here, reaching around that left thigh, interlacing your fingers behind this thigh, using your exhale to draw that left thigh a little bit closer to your chest with each breath out. And again, whichever variation of this posture you're in, no excessive effort. Just let the gravity do the work. If you're in reclined pigeon, gradually begin to let go of your grip, letting your left foot land back down on the floor. And then cross your right leg all the way over the left. From here, your arms are going to drape out to the sides, or you can bring them all the way out to a T. You're going to walk your hips over to the left side, and then let your knees drop over to the right. Your gaze can gently shift over your left shoulder. If you're in standard pigeon, just stay there and enjoy it for a few more breaths. If you're in standard pigeon, on your next inhale, you're going to begin to walk your hands back up towards your right shin. Good. Once you're vertical, just go ahead and sit your hips off onto the ground. If you have a prop underneath, just set it off to the side. Then we're going to make our way over to the left side. If you're in that reclined twist, just stay there for a moment. Setting your left leg up parallel to the short edge of your mat, left foot flexed to protect your knee joint. If that foot needs to come closer to your body, that's okay. Lifting the hips to set up, straightening your right leg behind you, top of the foot flat on the ground, extending back. Start in a nice tall position, taking a few breaths here. Breathing into the hips. As you feel ready, using your exhale to start to walk your forearms down to the mat. And then resting your forehead to your degree of comfort here, just matching what you did on the other side and settling in, using props as needed if you need them. If you're still in that twist on your right side, use your next inhale to gradually guide your knees back up to center. Uncross the legs. Very little effort, cross your left ankle over your right thigh. From here, adding on again, reaching the fingers behind the right thigh, using your exhale and gravity to draw that right thigh a little bit closer to your body with each breath. If you're in standard pigeon, stay just as you are. If you're in reclined pigeon, begin to release your grip on that right leg. Allow your left leg to cross over the right completely, arms tee out to the sides. Shift your hips over to the right, and then let your knees drop to the left as your gaze falls over your right shoulder. Settle in here and enjoy the twist. For those of you in standard pigeon, on your next inhale, begin to gently walk your hands back up toward that left shin. Re-extending the spine, gradually shifting your hips off, setting your hips back down on the floor. If you're in reclined pigeon in that twist, stay there for just a moment. I'll guide you into this next posture momentarily. So we have a couple options here as well. You can either take supported bridge, or if you have an empty wall nearby, you can do legs up the wall if that is calling to you at the moment. So for supported bridge, you're going to lie down on your back again and grab whichever kind of prop you have. It's probably not going to be extremely thick. But from here, just inhale to lift those hips up slightly. Tuck that towel or prop under your hips. Just allow your hips to rest on top. And from here, there's a couple variations you can take. You can connect the soles of the feet again and let your knees drop out to the sides. If you'd like a little bit of light hip extension, you can walk the legs out long on the mat and let the feet drop out to the sides, using that slight elevation of the hips to extend the front side of the hip flexors. If you're in that reclined twist, use your next inhale to gradually come back up through center. From center, uncross the legs, place both feet back down onto the floor. And then you have the option of either guiding yourself into supported bridge with whichever variation you feel most comfortable. And if supported bridge isn't doing it for you, you can scoot yourself up close to a wall, roll over onto your side, and gradually let your back flatten against the floor as you twist and lift your legs up so that your heels are resting against the wall, arms just out to the sides, hips down on the floor or as close to the floor as possible. And you can tuck your towel under your hips if you'd like a little elevation there. letting the muscles of the hamstrings and calves fully relax here. If you're comfortable as you are, you can stay just as you are. If there's any additional posture that your body's asking for this morning, take the next couple of moments to move into that posture. Just a couple more breaths wherever you are. And then as you feel ready, starting to make your way out of that final posture, removing any props that you're using at the moment. Allowing your legs to extend fully on the mat, coming down onto your back, arms resting down by your sides. A second to wiggle out any residual tension that's still left in the body, getting just as comfortable as possible, coming into a place of complete stillness for the remainder of your practice. Again, just showing yourself a little bit of love and gratitude for showing up and committing to this practice, to being present with yourself for the past hour. back into the awareness of your breath. Points of contact between your body and the floor. Welcoming back in the ambient noise and temperature of the room. Just starting to deepen the breath and allow some small movements to come back into the fingers and toes. Very gradually starting to roll out through the wrists and the ankles. On your next inhale, reach the arms overhead, point the toes, take a big full body stretch. And on your exhale, begin to roll over to your favorite side. Just pause here, letting your head rest on your lower arm. Taking a moment to acknowledge and integrate that anything that's come up for you during your practice today. Letting that top hand rest on the floor in front of you, keeping your eyes softly closed. Use that top hand to gently press yourself up to a comfortable seat. Once you're seated, bring your palms together at your heart center and gently bow your head. We'll close our practice today with one Om. So we'll take a full breath in and out together first, and then breathe in to Om. If you would rather not Om with us, just sit and enjoy the vibrations. So full breath in first. Big sigh out. And then inhale to Om. May you know your own worthiness of love, fulfillment, success, joy, and good health. From my heart to yours, Namaste. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a lovely weekend.